And... oh, he's lighting up Gene Money's chest like a traction engine. Swat! Oh, shit. That was liquid wrestling.
Aha! Welcome to episode 44 of the Groupchat Wrestling Podcast. Dan Dido here, rough voice and all, back from a weekend Progress Super Strong Style 16, which was ruddy bloody good actually, but we'll get into that in a little bit later on. So let's dive in. Let's see who else has joined us.
Yeah, I've had a cease and desist, so I'll just go first if you don't mind. I've had a cease and desist from Konan. I'm apparently not allowed to use the La Parka gimmick anymore, which is shite, as I'm a big fan. So fuck AAA, fuck the Federales, and fuck Konan. So yeah, that's it now. Done.
Get off.
This is a groundbreaking moment.
All right, well, I am waiting for my cease and desist. I'm also wearing some copyright questionable merchandise, but that's not my problem. I am just Lucy, and I also was at Progress Super Strong Style 16 this weekend. My voice is also completely buggered, as are my eyes, so you get to see me with my big granny specs on today.
See, you're the most sophisticated person on this podcast.
You have to listen to me now, I'm smart.
Of course,
Smart
absolutely. I'll tell you who we should listen to more. It's Shelton Benjamin. Because, my God, I mean, he might be my new favourite wrestler in the world right now.
Yeah,
after
check
that.
this off.
It's too off.
I think the person we should listen to, and he's not with us, unfortunately. He's not dead, but he's just not on the episode at the moment, is Wrestling Mark, because his response to the Shelton Benjamin tweet is fantastic, where he says that he hopes the person MJF chooses to hurt is Hogan, and he hopes he hurts him by throwing him off a fucking cliff into shark-infested waters. That's fair, to be honest. I quite like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Lovely.
I love the fact that Shelton just cooked that racist, decrepit, fraud.
He can take that fucking racist beer with him as well.
Yes, he can. The official position is fuck Hulk Hogan, but not in the good way.
It's a callback to a previous episode when, we spoke the most truth in a short space of time than any other episode, when we actually pointed out like Hulk Hogan is in fact a cunt.
Yeah, a proper cunt.
Proper cunt.
Yeah.
Much cunt, yes.
Absolutely.
And again, not in the good way.
Terry Nutkins looking cunt.
That's an insult to Terry Nutkins, though.
Nice. Terry Nutkins is dead.
He looks, but he's, at least Wrestling Mark's not, so that's good.
Yeah.
Good news for the day.
Also, shout out to Wrestling Mark. He's not with us this week, but he will hopefully be back on next week. But yeah, he just for clarity, I'm going to do a partridge here. I've sort of ridden that wave a couple times already. Wrestling Mark is not dead.
Yes.
As far as
unless he's gone in the night and he is yet to be discovered. But
God, that would be awkward.
But to be honest, if Triple H has his way, he'd fucking be dead.
Yeah.
Because Triple H fucked with the Raw times, didn't he, just to mess with his minutes in wrestling? So.
He did. It's quite remarkable, really, that even after a rather bland and drab Mania, that they had sort of one episode of Raw which had 3 matches, and suddenly everything was good again. It's amazing how that works, isn't it? I wish I had that ability to just suddenly just make every bad bit of PR that had happened in the days leading up to that to just magically disappear.
Yeah,
but
I wish I could half-ass my job, go in one day, do 40 minutes work rather than 20 and be praised for it, but...
No comment.
Well, apparently Triple H works 56-hour weeks or 56-hour days or something like that. Whatever he said, it was something completely ridiculous. But for churning out really sort of subpar quality, in my opinion, just to caveat that. But if I did that, I think I'd be getting a write up for work. As they say, look, man, this really isn't like up to snuff. I think you're much better than this. I mean, I probably would have been fired like months ago, but hey.
He gave himself a fucking Hall of Fame entry. No one's going to fire him. He's probably giving himself Employee of the Month awards every month. Fuck him. Anyway, fuck Triple H. And fuck Hulk Hogan. Fuck the racist beer. And fuck that Chad Gable and his stupid Mexican gimmick. Who on earth would pretend to be a Mexican? That's fucking stupid. That's as low as you can get. And also... He was posing with the real American beer yesterday, like a true scumbag, so he can get to fuck as well. Anyway,
No,
should we move on?
Andy's taken his Parker mask off.
No,
I
I can't
don't know what
think
you're talking
anybody
about,
who
never.
would pretend to be from the Gulf of
Never.
Mexico.
I've never wore a mask. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Fake news. Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway.
shall we?
Anyway, but speaking of Shelton Benjamin, who actually might have just won himself Wrestler of the Year, which just in the last 20 minutes or so. But AEW looks pretty good this week because we're going to get an ECW original returning, which sort of came out of the blue. But I feel like it's 2005 all over again.
Best spear in the business.
It's a gore.
And
I know
also-
you said if you won with it, it's a gore. If you lost, it was a spear.
Correct.
That is the official word.
It is the best spear in the business. No jump.
And it's the best gore, just to throw that out there. It is the best gore. What do we think he's going to do? Because he's going to be on all three shows. He's going to be on Collision, Dynamite, and the Ring of Honor tapings.
He's got to do the Open Challenge, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Max Caster. That's got to be.
I mean, it's kind of spoiled though now, isn't it?
It's got to be. Like, it has to be. There's no. You can't have him turn up and not be the one that spears the fuck out of Max Caster. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I saw a theory. I saw a theory where he could be the one that MJF hurts. So maybe there's, I don't know whether that would be whether he'd do that on Collision or whether he'd do that on Dynamite or Ring of Honor. I don't know. But either way, gassed to see Rhino again. Sorry, Lucy. What were you saying?
No, I was just going to talk about Max Caster. So you can't have a guest on the show and not let them twat Max Caster. It would be rude.
It's got to be.
It's bad manners not to let them beat him up.
It makes too much sense to just have him come out and spear him out of his shoes.
Yeah, I mean, I got the backstage passes for Forbidden Door. I assume I'm going to be allowed to beat up Max Caster.
That should be what you pay for, to be honest, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, considering where you're sat, I think it would be rude not to, wouldn't it? Just like
experience.
Of course.
Maybe he'll win a Forbidden Door. He's got to win soon, hasn't he? He can't keep losing every week.
But I love him as a pathetic, soggy little loser. He's amazing.
He's got 2 over though now, hasn't he? Like, he's actually got.
Yeah.
He's actually got the chant over now, isn't he?
Yeah, and now he's trying to get them not to chant, and they're chanting anyway. So he's like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do, but he's got to win at some point. He has to.
Yeah, they've got to be careful because people are falling in love with Max Caster at the minute. If they want to keep him heel.
I've always been a fan of Max Caster. Even when he was getting loads of shit by people, I thought his kind of like work with the the breadcrumbs leading up to the breakup was just excellent stuff. I mean, that 4-way they had when he was kind of ordering Bowens to do stuff and then just fucking up, it was excellent. It was so well done. So I'm made up. I like Max Caster, and I really want a point when somebody will come in and say to him, look, what are you doing? You were the tag champ. You were the trio champ. You've got to sort yourself out. You're not this pathetic loser.
Yeah,
and get him back.
That.
Right now, it's just working. It's just like I actually really look forward to seeing him on TV now. And like again, it's kind of It was the same thing. It's the same sort of logic that I had with talking of Shelton Benjamin. Like the Hurt Syndicate. I wasn't really thrilled about the idea of them coming in to AEW because I thought. I don't know how it would work, but they've just killed it ever since. I've loved watching them on TV, and
they're over as fuck as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about them when they came in. I hadn't been watching WWE at all for quite a long time, and I was like, oh, who are these? Just some more random guys. Oh, brilliant! And then they came in, and within like 3 weeks, I was absolutely obsessed. I love them. MVP is my god.
He's one of the best talkers in the whole business, to be honest. He's the way it's the same. I think he and also Jay White, like their promo skills are like insanely underrated. Like they do not get enough credit, and they're often kind of not the thing that people tend to remember. But the way that they cut the promos is just really, it's kind of like majestic. It rolls off the tongue like really nicely.
He's holding his own against MJF. Easily.
Exactly.
He's fantastic. I'm completely converted.
I still
do you think that MJF then?
Else. I don't.
I was going to say that you don't.
I don't.
So I had a theory that he was going to hurt. I had a theory he was going to hurt MVP as a way to get under Bob's skin.
I think that's what it's going to be. I think he's going to hurt one of the Hurt Syndicate.
Okay.
or somebody affiliated with the Hurt Syndicate, whoever that may be. I don't know, but I don't think he's going to go and hit a randomer.
Of the Hurt business.
That's a good one, because his contract
that he could drag in.
Isn't it? Oh God,
who was it? I didn't watch the Hurt business at all.
Who is it? I don't know. Oh my God.
Cedric Alexander.
I didn't watch it either. Was it Cedric Alexander? I'm not sure. Because if it is his
give me a second.
I am sure his non-compete runs out in a few days. In which case, that would
not
be
this
fucking
week.
excellent.
It's the week after, I think.
Cedric Alexander.
That'd be great then. That'd be great then if MJ. Okay, well, don't hit anyone this week. Wait till next week. Beat the fuck out of Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, I mean that would be a hell of an intro. Cedric comes in, has like a match with somebody. He wins his debut, and then MJF just beats the shit out of him. Or maybe there's like a bit where like on the Collision he has his debut, and then on the Dynamite after he has like a reuniting with the Hurt Syndicate or something, and then MJF just beats the ever-loving piss out of him with FTR and a newly healed Daniel Garcia. It has to happen. It's happening.
That's going to happen eventually. That's got to be the end.
That's long. That's long term, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean,
I love Daniel Garcia as a good guy. I'm aware I am alone. Everyone prefers him as a heel, but
too bland.
The thing is, I really like him as a wrestler. I think he's good in the ring, but I think sticking the TNT title on him was a big mistake. To be honest,
it was a terrible.
It was just a very underwhelming run.
Well, it was more the fact that they stuck the title on him when they were going into the Continental Classic, which meant he couldn't defend it for a while anyway. And then coming out of the Continental Classic, he had a load of trio matches, which again we want to see him defending the TNT title. So it kind of put a damper on the TNT title. I think a heel turn will do him wonders, to be honest, and I would keep him away from the TNT title for now. I think maybe go back to that down the line at some point.
The thing is, as well, is that you look at, we talk about AEW being very top heavy a lot, where you have like people who are sort of in the conversation for like the top belt regularly, and then underneath that, there's still a massive amount of like people like. Well, obviously, Adam Cole's a champion now. He's about that level. But people like Kyle Fletcher, Takeshita, Josh Alexander, like Buddy Matthews, Brody King, Orange Cassidy, Darby, whoever. Even so, like, there's so many people. I think Daniel Garcia, unfortunately, it's not necessarily his fault. It's probably just the way he's been booked. He's gone down just slightly below that now, in my opinion. So I think he needs a heel turn to kind of really get a new sort of, grip on sort of what he wants to do in AEW, and I think that could be a chance for him to sort of re-establish himself, like what they've done with Max Caster, like what they've done with Anthony Bowens as well. Just taking them, splitting part of their sort of initial characters off and just making them something new and something exciting.
I just found it dull as fuck, to be honest. I like Daniel Garcia, but I just found it so dull since he won that title, because they just haven't done what they needed to with it. For me, that title needs to be weekly defenses. Open challenge is perfect for that title, and that's what it was originally. If you remember when they first introduced it, that's why they had the likes of bloody Eddie Kingston was an open challenge. Warhorse randomly was one. They had loads of.
They had a couple of Matt Cardona did a Matt Cardona come out.
That was incredible.
That's why that's what screwed it all up for me, because I said this a while back. Christian did a phenomenal job of elevating the TNT title, especially with all the Punk stuff going on, and about how the world title was just had 3 different interim runs.
It was arguably more important than the world title at that point with Christian. It was the belt. I mean, it headlined pay-per-views, for God's sake, which you could, if you said to somebody now, we're going to headline Double or Nothing with the TNT title match, they'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why?
Yeah, exactly. And so Cope taking it off of Christian was the right call, because it was about the right sort of time for him to drop the belt. And then Christian sort of was in the conversation for the top belt because of how much great work he'd done up to that point. And obviously now because he's not really been on TV like an awful lot, he's not been wrestling like an awful lot. Unfortunately, I think he's kind of stepped down a peg now. It's not his fault. It's just probably like the way that the booking's gone. And now the TNT, as a result, because Cope had to drop it due to injury, it's just fallen off a cliff again. It's now arguably less important than the Continental title.
Well, that's why when you suggest Takeshita, when you're going through the names there, for me that was a fuck no. Takeshita is way bigger than the TNT title. It'd be such a downgrade. Takeshita should be in that world title scene. Never mind the TNT title. If anything, the international title would be the one that you would want him to have a run with. Or even
but he's already had it though. He's already
he should have a longer one then, because taking him from the international title to the TNT title is a downgrade and a half for me. I mean, like that would be like putting Kenny Omega in the TNT. Would you put Kenny Omega in the mix for the TNT? Would you? Fuck no chance.
Not right now. The thing is, if you said it about maybe a year and a half ago, you probably would have. To be honest. Well, even then,
I still wouldn't have, because I think Christian. We all knew Christian was just giving it a bit of a glow at the time, and then it's always been the TV title. That's how I associate it. The international is the Intercontinental, because that's what it was always called. The TV title, or the US title, the TV title is the TNT title. I equate them to old WCW titles. So you got the TV title, the US title, Intercontinental, whatever, and the World title. The Continental Classic should be a trophy. I will die on that hill. It should be a trophy. It should not be a belt. That's fucking stupid. Tony Khan, that's stupid. But the rest, defend it every week. It's TV time. Bring in some randomers to get challenged. Preferably not Ring of Honor anymore because of
we see them all the time
reasons.
now.
Yeah.
But speaking of titles, I mean, I don't want to answer this now. I mean, because I think we've had a question which we'll get into a bit later on. But there are murmurings now about AEW introducing women's tag team titles. I don't know whether there's any credibility to it, so maybe we could come back to that, because I think we've had a question on that. So let's park this for the moment. So speaking of why we're all here, we'll get into the meat and gravy of why we're all here. And that is to do with the Progress Super Strong Style 16 tournament that we had the pleasure of watching in person, Lucy and I, over the weekend. I was there for the Sunday. Lucy was there for both the Sunday and the Monday. And I was unfortunate to miss the Monday, but I did watch it on Triller. So I got both experiences. So, Lucy, what was your just overall takeaway from the weekend?
Incredible. It was I've been to a lot of Progress shows. I have never been to a Super Strong Style before. It was my very first one. I will never, ever miss another one. So that's the takeaway. It's their absolute best show that I've ever been to. The atmosphere was like nothing else. It felt almost, I don't want to say restore the feeling, that's not their thing, but it felt almost the way it did back in the day. Remember when everything was like super high? And yeah, at the end, it was absolutely incredible. People were leaving singing.
Yeah, it did feel like that sort of return to the 2017, 2018 golden sort of era of Progress when, you couldn't get a ticket. Even if you tried, like it was virtually impossible to get a ticket. But no, I completely agree with everything you're saying. The crowd energy was just amazing. I think the Triller stream didn't do the crowd justice, because I don't think it's their fault. I think it's just the acoustics of the ballroom and like the recording equipment that sort of dampen the noise of what it's actually like when you're in there, because when you're in there, it's loud. That's why I've got a sore voice. It's really, really loud.
The TV side of things, because obviously I didn't travel down because I couldn't be arsed going to London. Well, not couldn't be arsed, I just couldn't really make it work this weekend. I didn't travel down, and so I watched it on Triller. And unfortunately on Triller, the audio was awful for Progress. It always is. So I obviously wouldn't have got the same kind of vibe you got. I mean, the show was amazing, but just the atmosphere and everything, you really miss out because the TV does not get that across at all. And you obviously have the commentary side of things, which can be a bit painful at times with the level of their microphones.
That is a real sort of sticking point. It is very different. Like, obviously when you're there live, obviously you don't have the commentary. Everything is nicely balanced and in there. It is just loud. But when they hit the ring as well, like it's just, you actually feel it. Like you feel like the thuds and like the bumps and everything. It's quite extraordinary how it doesn't really translate well on video.
Well, on one hand, we don't you don't get the commentary that I get, which I'm not. That might actually not be a bad thing. But on the other hand, I don't get Jerry Bakewell, so.
I gave him a bracelet, and I got a photo with him. So Jerry Bakewell is my bestie now. I didn't join the conga line though, unfortunately. I will. Next time, I will join the conga line. I've never joined it. Anybody that doesn't know, there is I don't know if it's a tradition, but it's often there will be a conga line. Jerry Bakewell is leading it around the ring. You are expected to join in. It is really great fun. Do it.
I think you'll. It's a call for me to go to the bar when that's going on, because I'm old and socially anxious. But by the by, yeah, it is quite. Yeah, Progress they don't have the budget of like an AEW or a WWE to make these kinds of, production snafus invisible, essentially. But even then, AEW makes has production issues sometimes. So it's not a criticism. Like, live TV is live TV. Things happen. It doesn't always translate that well as you expect it to.
It's a British indie thing. Well, it's not. It's an indie thing. I mean, 'cause it's the same if you're watching Defy on Triller. They have exactly the same problem.
Yeah,
TNT have the same problem. They all do. The collective weekend. If you guys watched any of that on Triller, the GCW stuff, that was terrible for the same reason. The audio quality is never great. Commentary is always a little bit kind of the levels are all over the place. And it's not a Progress specific thing. It's just a thing that you do notice when you go from like WWE, which is over the top production values, ridiculous. Then you got AEW, which is almost as good, solid, and everything else below that. They don't have the money for that, and they don't have the facilities, the equipment and the setup for that. So it's never going to be the same. But it's a thing across all indies. It's not just Progress.
Yeah,
so it's harsh to criticize them for that. To be honest,
yeah, it's not their fault at all.
No, the main thing I would say about that is you cannot get the experience and the feeling of an indie by watching on TV.
Oh,
if you have a local indie, you have to go to it. Just go 100%. To it, experience it there, experience 100%. The sound and the feeling there, because it doesn't translate to on TV the same. Yeah,
100%. As everyone knows, we're very proud sponsors of TNT. And we go all the TNT shows, and they have exactly the same problem with TV. You just cannot get that feeling that you get when you're inside Fusion and it's all going off. You can't replicate it through TV, unfortunately.
Yeah. The ballroom is an amazing venue as well. If you get the chance to go to the Electric Ballroom, you have to do it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. It's perfect for what Progress do and like the standard of their shows and everything. It's a. I think I told you, I've gone there several times for like various gigs and shows and everything like that, music shows, and the audio is sublime, like it really is. But obviously, there's just when you're piping everything through an audio and video channel to TV, which is then streamed, it just compresses absolutely everything. So if you do get a chance to go to Progress, especially at the ballroom, then just go. Honestly, you won't regret it. The tickets are very reasonably priced. You're going to have a great time no matter what, even if you might not be familiar with like all the names that are on the card. Like, I guarantee you will have fun. There will be something on there that you like, and across both days, like there was plenty.
I wouldn't say just Progress either. I'd say any of the indie shows, if you can get to, you'll have a great time. Because a lot of these wrestlers wrestle across them all anyway. So, for instance, a man like the Reese was in fucking Runcorn a few weeks ago, for God's sake. Infamous, which I did not see happening. And then he's in TNT at the end of the month. He did both days of Progress. So he's doing the one in Nottingham at the weekend, which I wish I could get to, the Shakespeare one. Prestige?
Bad call.
Is it Prestige? Is it? Yeah. Yeah. Oh God, I wish we could get to that one. So yeah, it's get to all these. Every show will offer you something that you just cannot replicate through TV. I know we say that a lot, but it's true. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the Reese, because obviously, spoiler alert, he walked away the winner after having wrestled 4 pretty intense matches, especially like the last few. Like, he really worked his arse off, and he's still around like in the UK. And you can argue that this sort of win that he's got is going to sort of probably propel him, because he's already been on TNA, he's already been on GCW, he's already been on like a few other sort of US promotions as well. So he is getting out there. So obviously we're not in the know like a lot of insiders claim that they are. We never claim to be. Exactly. Yeah, we never claim to have the inside scoop, and we'll never charge you $5 on a Discord to unveil that information. But what we do know is that, a lot of these guys, they're still young. we don't know how long they're going to be around for. So if you are like in the position to go and see them live, just do it, because you will not regret it. These guys, a lot of them are probably going to be like the names for the future. Guys like Derice, guys like Leon Slater, guys like Michael Oku, guys like Luke Jacobs. You know, we don't know how,
because you made them sound like aging rock stars. Then it was like telling someone to go and see the Rolling Stones. Look, we don't know how long these guys are going to be around for. Just get on see them, please.
I mean, they're better than the Rolling. They're better than the Rolling Stones. They're better.
It just sounded that way. But no, you are right. You're 100%. Especially Leon Slater, for God's sake. I mean, we were all about that in the last episode. There, that guy's doing things in TNT that, like I was saying earlier in the week, it's a shame TNT haven't got the balls to just build a company around someone like Leon Slater and just go for it, instead of being this partnership role, which is not really a partnership, is it? Because they don't seem to be getting much out of it. From as a viewer, they seem to be getting the shit end of the stick. And it's a shame, because you got Leon Slater there, who that guy he's what you would call a franchise player in any other sport. If you could build a division around Leon Slater, it would go. And you stop focusing on the old heads, stop focusing on the cast-offs and the hand-me-downs from NXT. Build something around him. They've just signed Harley Hudson. She's fucking brilliant. They've got Danny Luna. They've also signed Myla Grace, I believe. They've looked at man like Derice, like we say. So the talent there is insane, and it will tie into a question we have from the Discord a bit, or Twitter, whatever, a bit later on. This actually about a European promotion, but the talent they have from Europe that they've taken, I would fucking love to see TNT just go for it and be, we are going to be a genuine, viable third, big promotion here, a third option for wrestlers to go to be a TV level, because they could do it. They have everything they would need, and it's so sad as a viewer. And I used to love TNA to see them just not and see. I just want to see more from. I want to see Leon Slater, platformed how he deserves to be. I know he's only 20 and he's got years left, but still, that guy's fucking insane.
Yeah, he really is. And seeing him live again doesn't do it justice. He is just so graceful, like in the ring, like the Kid Lycos on our bonus episode just a few days ago before Super Strong Style made a very good point about how a lot of these British workers are Ronaldos, and there are only a few Messis, and Leon Slater is one of them, one of the Messis. He is just like unreal. Like if he's on a card, you are going to have a good time. And I was convinced, like I'm going back to the final, him and Derice, a boisterous behaviour final. It was very deserving, because they've been like, in the tag division, they've been, viable singles competitors for, in their own way. And, Derice's story was fantastic. And, the final match with Slater was just, it had everything. Like, it was just drama, emotion. And I was convinced at several points that Leon Slater was going to turn on him, was going to actually just batter him, and to the point where Derice was like, "Who even are you?" Essentially, he didn't even recognize who he was. But then they didn't, obviously. That's what you want out of a main event, like just this incredible sort of friendship, played out in the ring, and to doing what they were doing in a real sort of intimate setting was just a real nice cap off to what had been a really entertaining and fun weekend across the whole 2 days. So yeah, obviously congratulations to Derice for winning it. I think he's in store for big things this year, and Leon Slater is as well. But it's not just them. Like the whole field was just stacked full of like possible viable winners. Who, if you had going in like Saturday morning, I couldn't have picked anybody. I couldn't have picked anybody with confidence. So just shows how stacked the field was.
Yeah, I wish I'd gone down, to be honest. Really jealous of you guys. Yeah.
But the standout matches for me obviously were not just the final, but Leon Slater versus Michael Oku, which was the semi-final, or one of the semi-finals. Which Andy and myself had the pleasure of also seeing at Rev Pro the month before. So obviously it wasn't. I don't think it was quite as long-winded as that, because it was just still a tournament match in the Super Strong Style, but it still had the same level of magic. Like the way Michael Oku sells is just a thing of beauty, man. It really is. What was that like in the venue then, Lucy? Because obviously, again, like we said, Triller, probably didn't do it justice there.
It was an upset, honestly.
Right.
We were watching it in the venue, and I think we all thought Oku was taking it. Amira came out, had an outfit change, absolute goddess. I love Amira. I don't think she can be overpraised, honestly. Everything that she brings to the match, and being able to see it from up on the balcony, we had an excellent view, and she never ever stops adding to the match. Everything that happens, she's reacting to it. She's drawing attention to the important bits. She's completely fabulous. And I think we all thought Oku was taking it. But by the end, I think we wanted him to lose. Like I don't know if it came across on TV, on Triller, or on demand, the chants were pretty much evenly split at the beginning. For Oku. By the end, there's only about a quarter of us still on Team Oku. I was one of them. I confess, I was one of them. But by the end, they had managed to turn it into this, the Cinderella story of this kid sort of coming up and overcoming. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Oku is an incredible storyteller in the ring.
He is, yeah.
While you mentioned Amira, one of my favourite promos I've seen in recent times, that wasn't Leonardo Darwin, was the Oku and Amira one when she called Ethan Allen a Timu Chesney from Coronation Street. And it was fucking gold. Honestly, it was one of the best promos I've seen in ages. It was brilliant.
She's absolutely incredible. Sorry, Rex Gallagher has flung himself off the sofa, so he's going back.
Yeah, she's fantastic, and she is like an old school manager as well. Like you say, constantly doing something. Whether she's trying to get someone's attention, and whether she's kind of calling him or kind of whatever, she's constantly doing something. There's never a point where she's just standing there, just not interested. She's fantastic.
Yeah. She's as much of a Michael Oku match as Michael Oku. And it's very true.
Well, you mentioned the Rev Pro one. We've seen that. The match changed when she came out.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like Slater had him beaten. And then Amira came out halfway through the match, maybe 2/3 of the way through the match. And then Michael Oku's, we thought he was going to tap out. He's looking over. She's there, willing him on. And 100%. She's as much of the match as Michael Oku is. It's fantastic. You can't. Yeah. You couldn't have one without the other. You'd have a Michael Oku match, but it's not a Michael Oku match.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think Amira has so much to do with his will to win. I think, which is a very old school trait, like you say, and it really adds to the match because you don't really get that with managers. Yeah, okay, I suppose with heels you have people who, when they're present, they help them sort of bend the rules a little bit. But I think for a babyface to have a manager, it's like I'm trying to think of like the closest example. I can't really think of anybody at the moment, but it's a rarity. Let's put it.
That's the closest.
Miss Elizabeth is very much
the closest. Yeah,
it is very much like that.
And that was the same where she would be kind of willing Randy on at times, and even just him looking over and seeing her and her giving him a look or some kind of
just pleading, say dig deep, just do something.
And it adds so much to the in-ring storytelling. It really does. She's fantastic. Like I say, we're all big fans.
We are indeed.
I don't know anyone who isn't a fan of Amira. I think she's one of the most universally loved British wrestlers in the world.
She's in the list of people that I do not trust if they do not like them.
Exactly. Simon Miller's on that list as well.
Simon's the kind of it's the Simon list, isn't it? The Miller list. If someone's on that list and someone doesn't like him, sorry, don't trust you.
Yeah, it's like not like in Puppies or something. Yeah, there's just everything good in the world. Yeah,
100%. So we should call her Miss Amirabeth now.
Miss Amirabeth.
But no, you're like Oku had a good running, obviously up until the the Slater match where he fell a bit short. But no, the match he had with Trent with Trent Seven as well was very, very good. Leon Slater also had to best Zaziah in the quarterfinals to get to that point.
Fantastic match.
Very
that match. That was great.
Super quick. It was over and done within 10 minutes. I know that obviously when you've got like 16 matches to get through across 2 days, obviously some of them are not going to be as fleshed out. But honestly, I said this during my live tweet along, which I did during day 2. Is that if you have a chance, like to see what Leon Slater and Zaziah can do in the ring together, go back and watch the Iron Man match from Rev Pro late last year in December, I think it was, because it is a thing of beauty. I think it was on it might have been Mike's match of the year or one of his matches of the year, certainly his indie match of the year. But yeah, it was genuinely stunning. True art. Yeah. But another one which I think obviously got rightful praise for being just that, which was art, was the one that sort of was slap bang in the middle on day 2, which was the title match, the world title match between Luke Jacobs and Cara Noir. Because again, I bit so many times during this match. I did not know which way this was going to go at all. I jumped out of like where I was sitting like several times.
Towards the end,
a bit. Did you see Luke Jacobs take a chunk out of his foot?
Yeah.
Nasty little bastard, Luke. Biting his feet.
I don't think there's been a match that has had me so one way then the other as much as that since probably MJF Bryan Danielson, where I genuinely thought I knew was winning, and then I started to be like, "Oh fuck, no, I'm wrong. It's going the other way. Oh no, it's not. No." And I was each time I was convinced about 4 or 5 times towards the end that I knew was going to win. I was wrong every time. It was great. It was so fucking good. The two of them are excellent, as we know. But Luke Jacobs is phenomenal.
Yeah, he really, really is. What was that like in the arena? Because that was the one time on Triller, apart from the main event, which actually sounded quite loud.
Yeah, it was crazy. Everyone was divided that, but we were so passionate about the one we were cheering for. It's really rare that I don't cheer for my Northwest boy, but Cara Noir is in my top 10 in the world. I absolutely adore him. I think he's a delight to photograph because everything he does, every movement is perfect. He's absolutely phenomenal. And I think there's just such an awareness that we almost didn't get him back. There was a time we thought we would never see him again. Luke, for once, he managed to make himself look, not weak. Luke never looks weak, but Luke was 0-3 against Cara Noir. Yeah. So he had to go in that looking as though I'm up against somebody that scares me, somebody that knows me. And he managed to do that. Luke managed to make me believe that Cara was winning it. And the end, that he didn't pin him. He passed out on top of him to pin him. That was a beautiful ending. I thought that was completely perfect. And even though I was Team Cara, we still all gave Luke a cheer when he won it.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct in what you're saying. Like again, you don't appreciate a Cara Noir match until you see it live. I think for a lot of the people who are not familiar with Cara, he is he's the Black Swan, and that is the sense that he is just he glides around the ring like. As gracefully, because he's got that dance sort of training and that dance aesthetic down to an art, and he incorporates that into his wrestling matches. But he is also he chops just as hard as someone like Dragunov or Gunther or like Penta. Someone who chops like super hard. Like he's not afraid to get physical. Like what one of the matches that I remember watching of his, which was one of my highlights, was all of his trilogy with Dragunov. That was sort of I think it was just pre NXT UK, or it might have been just around the same sort of time when when a lot of the talent was sort of snapped up by the Fed. It's honestly, it's magical. Like I think that to me encapsulates everything that like a real good Progress match is all about. Like all the matches that he had with Dragunov. Which I think you can watch on demand Progress. I believe that you can rewatch them all. I think so. I mean, do it. genuinely.
Absolutely. Kara is the perfect blend of style and substance. He's so incredibly strong. I guess that comes from the dance background. You must have, but he's also so fucking cool. Everything he does is it's super cool.
And the best part about this was that there was no eggs. So,
there was no eggs.
Thank fuck for that. Like,
see, I wasn't as grossed out by the eggs as everyone else, but
no, but he did bite Luke Jacobs' foot, which I think grossed out a lot of other people.
No, Luke bit his foot.
Sorry, the other way around. My mistake.
Luke had a nibble of his
There's
toes.
no way that grows people out more than the egg. It can't be, unless people
it's a lot
have got
less
a real
hygienic.
fear of feet or something. I don't know. Some people might have loved it, to be honest.
Possibly.
Well, we're not kink shaming anybody here who's listening or watching.
There'll be some freaks out there who are replaying that now.
You just say them.
Progress, something for everyone.
Of course there is, absolutely. And if you are a fan of
feet, what, Dan?
Well,
where are we going?
Hey, you know what? I'll scrap that bit that I scripted out there. But no, another title match. The only other title match on the show was on the main event of night one. How great was this, Lucy? I mean, come on, how fucking great was this?
It was fantastic. I have so much to say about every single woman involved in this. It was absolutely incredible. This was the match that I was waiting for because we thought we were so clever. We were so sure what was happening. Oh, Rio's going to lose. Rio's going to WWE. She's not going to. Nope. And it taught me a bit of a lesson. Shut up and enjoy the wrestling. Stop trying to be smart. Stop trying to assume you know what goes on behind those curtains. Enjoy it for what it is. Just take that moment and be in it. Don't be looking for what's coming next. Don't be trying to guess what the booking is. Just be in the story. And by the end, Rio forced every single person in the room to do that and just be there with her in that story. And when she won, the roof came off. It was so unexpected. It was beautiful.
It was the loudest I've heard the ballroom, to be honest, at least to my knowledge.
Until the next night,
the next night, which I'm sure it probably topped
called it then.
But no, incredible. Like Rio is just unreal in the ring. Like from bell to bell, I can't think of anybody in the British scene who can sort of match her intensity, her power, her speed, her just emotion in the ring. And I think Nina's just a great asset to any company. Like the dynamic that she has with the crowd it makes the match better. I think and it made for like the babyface comeback for Rio really that much more impactful because of how well Nina had done. But again, it really
charisma for days, Nina.
100%, and obviously the banter that she had with Kanji as well really added a little layer to this match. But sorry, go on, Andy, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, I think previously I mentioned it when we were at the Manchester show. My missus said that she reminds her of a Disney villain, and she does. She just gives off that full on Disney villain vibe. She's a fantastic heel. She's excellent.
She is. She would absolutely put an entire country to sleep for 1,000 years because she wasn't invited to a Christmas.
Yeah. She does. She as well as Robin Hart the Clown's hat, she does give off all that, and she's a great heel. And you need a good heel to get that moment. You know that Rio had. Some of these moments are never as good if the heel doesn't do the job. And fantastic, excellence. Rio's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. It's one of the best wrestlers in the world, to be honest. So it's fantastic to think or hope that I might see her at some more shows for a little while.
Yeah, well, that's what was announced on night 2, was that her and Kanji in a match that's not officially been announced, at least at the time of this recording, but that will happen at some point, presumably one of the next London shows.
Nina and Kanji.
It's loser
versus career, isn't it?
Yeah,
loser leaves progress.
So we kind of go from one, she's definitely going the Fed, to another, is she going to go the Fed? Because that could be the same situation, couldn't it?
Not even necessarily the Fed, because we're getting into a little bit of fantasy booking territory here now, which we've talked about how AEW is introducing the Ring of Honor Women's Pure titles, and we've
That's what I was
always.
going to say. I know what you're saying. That's what I was going to say.
We know that Tony listens because he's listened to a few things that we've said, and they've somehow come to fruition. Maybe not immediately. Maybe he's taken a little bit of time, but they tend
fucking
to
listen to me. Where's my Brandon Cutler World title run, Tony? Where's my men's trios titles defended by lingerie pillow fight, Tony?
I think he's added that to the list. He's added that to the list after he
bottom of the list.
After Grand Slam Mexico, possibly. But
well, I know where you're going with this, Dan. Though,
yeah.
And the way I see it is, if you're Mercedes and you wrestle someone as good as Kanji, and you go back afterwards to Tony and you say, "Fuck me, she's good." Yeah. Mercedes can spot talent.
Yeah.
And if you say, "Tony, honestly, do not sleep on this," I would like to think that AEW are going to do something with Kanji because she's fucking incredible. And
that's what I think.
I would actually think that is more likely than Rio going to the Fed, only because I think the Fed are brain dead and they probably don't realise just how good Rio is. That's it, because she is unreal, but I don't think that they will sign her. And I'm glad, personally, selfishly, but for Rio, they're ridiculous, man.
Of course, the thing is that what Rio made clear, and it looked like authentic, like really from the heart. Because and to be honest, I don't know if this came through on the stream because it was probably after the cameras had been switched off. But when she introduced the women's Super Strong Style 16 tournament for next year. But shortly after that, she did say how there are people in progress who are really trying to make, working their absolute asses off to try and make it a place where British wrestling can be what it was again. And I believe it. I do believe that there are people like that. And if she's the champion, somebody actually made a very poignant tweet. I think it might have been Lizzie Evo. I could be wrong, so apologies if I'm misquoting anybody. But she said about how Rio as a champion is someone who is like a locker room leader who inspires.
I think she did.
Yeah,
I did see a tweet from Lizzie saying something similar to that. But yeah,
Rio inspires the women to go out there and actually change the game, which is what they're doing, because oftentimes for a lot of the Progress shows, the women's matches have been the ones that I've enjoyed the most because the talent level again is just unreal.
One of the best Progress matches I've ever seen, and I actually do think it was better than the title match on the other night, was Rio against Lizzie. That's one of the best matches I've ever seen. So 100% on that. Yeah, definitely. The talent is insane. It really is.
Yeah, it genuinely is. I mean, Lucy, it would be very sort of wrong of me to obviously talk over you here. So please obviously give a woman's perspective on this issue.
Which issue exactly are we on? Because there seem to be quite a few at the minute around.
Well,
the Brandon Cutler not having the women's world title, that issue,
or the women's pure title.
Every title.
Every title. Belt collector Brandon over here.
Yes.
I think because there's been following Super Strong Style, there was some discourse sort of online which I think it needs to be talked about. It would be very naive to overlook this kind of topic, and it's from Charlie Evans. And I'm not going to speculate or cast aspersions as to what prompted it, but
well, we can go back to when it kicked off first, or at least from where we seen that it kicked off, and that was when they announced the final entrance, and she'd been pushing for a long time on social media to get that spot because of the fantastic match that she had with Cara Noir, and it was fantastic. Anyone who hasn't seen it, go watch it. It's incredible.
Excellent.
And she pushed for it, and then when they announced the final entrance and it wasn't a woman, she tweeted out "Progress," which was a fairly funny tweet, to be honest. And then all the way through the lead up in the weekend there, she was making little sarky comments, which I think she was well within her right to be honest, because after such a good match that she had, you would have thought there would have been a chance for even just one entrance, even if she lost in the first round, just to get her in there. But I don't know, and it's just kind of spun out of that, hasn't it? Really. So yeah, maybe Lucy wants to give your thoughts on it.
Of course.
I think beforehand, it did put a little bit of a dampener on it, because I am of the belief that wrestlers should wrestle wrestlers. I'm not naive. I'm aware that there are places in the world that have laws against it. There are some states in America that are not allowed to do that, but we don't have that here. There's a little part of me thinks maybe the reason they didn't do it is because they are looking to be more involved with other big companies that also don't do that. You know, whether it's, you know, they're trying to preserve a potential relationship, or they're trying to expand the audience. Yeah, I got my hopes up that Charlie was going to be in the tournament. She wasn't, and it was disappointing. I do think there needs to be a discussion about should women wrestle men. I believe, yes, absolutely they should, because nobody is going to ever convince me that, say, we'll use AEW as an example, that Darby Allin wrestling Megan Bayne is somehow more unbalanced than Rey Mysterio wrestling the Big Show. Because it's not. And even if it was, it's not. They don't have weight categories. It's not a real fight, for God's sake. However, I don't like the fact that it was the very first thing people said when the women's strong style was announced. People have heard that and gone, yeah, well, it's not mixed, is it? Well, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. They've decided not to become a generally intergender company. The women are still going to kill it next year, and I'm looking forward to it as a separate issue.
I did notice a pattern, to be honest, with the tweets, and this probably going to upset a lot of people, so apologies, probably not meant for you, although it probably is. But the majority of the people I seem to know who were really, really angry about it were people who are big Rev Pro fans. And it felt like a lot of it was like, oh, this is a chance to dunk on progress. Let's go. That's just the way, I don't know. Because there's a couple of accounts that I know are huge Rev Pro marks, and they were really going on about it.
So maybe I am a huge Rev Pro. I put my hands up, guilty as charged.
I am
a huge Rev Pro fan, but yeah, I think it's strange to think of tribalism in British wrestling, but it's there weird. In every wrestling community.
It does happen, because I seen again the same kind of thing. I've seen a lot of big Rev Pro fans, like not slagging it off, but you know, kind of making little snarky remarks at the Super Strong Style 16 over the weekend, and it's just bizarre. Like, it really is. I mean, but there was a lot of Rev Pro heavy accounts were really, you know, amplifying the issue and kind of dismissing the you know, the women's Super Strong Style that they did.
Yeah,
as though it's lesser so somehow.
And I get it. I get it, because there is an issue, and it's the same issue. We've commented loads about AEW's lack of women's airtime, and the idea at one point was that maybe Shockwave is going to be a women's only show, and yeah, that would solve a problem, but it doesn't solve the problem. It's a plaster. It's you know and again this it's the same kind of thing with the Super Strong Style 16 women's tournament. Yeah. It solves a problem, but not the problem. Yeah, we're going to give it you, but not the way that you might want it. We're still going to keep it separate and segregated. And I don't know. I don't know the answer, to be honest. I mean, it would have been nice to have Charlie Evans in there, but
of course
it would.
There probably would have someone probably would have complained that there wasn't, you know, that Lizzie Ever wasn't in there or something. Then after that, or you know,
people complained that a woman was in there. Someone will complain about everything. I
don't think that.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely all for saying that there is an issue of
100%
having male wrestlers, female wrestlers, not just wrestlers. However, when you start using that to take away from what they're gonna be doing in Super Strong Style, yeah, they can be two separate. You can be excited for these women to get this chance to showcase themselves, but also as a separate issue, talk about.
Yeah. Of course,
segregation.
It is it is not in any way, shape, or form to try and discredit the progress. No pun intended there. That they have made with this new tournament, which we're going to get next year. You know, because that's the first of its kind, and it's been a long time coming. And I think, you know, it is a good thing that they are doing it, and I'm going to go to it, like, if I can, obviously. So, but it also does overlook the fact that only just a few months ago the fact that, you know, obviously Chevs fought Cara Noir. We had the Experience fight the Smoking Aces for the Progress tag titles. So it did feel like for a minute that there was, you know, Progress sort of was going in a certain direction, and then now it does seem like they've not maybe knowingly, but maybe they backtracked from that a little bit.
They do have separate men's and women's world titles.
Yeah.
So you win Super Strong Style, and a woman she then calls a shot for. Can she only go for the women's title then?
Yeah.
Could a man then challenge for the women's title?
It's a can of worms, in it. It's a weird one. I mean, I did see a lot. There's a lot of kind of people, people who are kind of we all get on with, some decent people on there during the discourse over the weekend who were just making that point of it does kind of feel like it's a step back from the way they were going. And it is just plastering over the cracks essentially, which is what we just said. So I don't know. I think once you get past the disappointment and you look forward, you look at what is coming up. It's exciting. It's exciting that they're gonna have a women's Super Strong Style 16. It's probably about time. The same as there's a lot of things. I mean, we'll probably end up talking about women's tag titles in another company at some point, but it's the same. These things. It's about time. It's a shame it's taken so long. And if there was one this year, maybe people wouldn't have been so arsy about all this in the first place. Maybe it wouldn't have been a big trending topic of conversation. So hopefully next year it's not going to be. But, who knows? Depends. I mean, maybe Progress will do a lot more intergender stuff going forward. I don't know.
Yeah.
William Regal is now flinging himself. I'm going to take all these guys down at one point.
Your Teddies are doing their best Darby Allin impression. They're trying to do a kickflip off of on Mount Everest.
Yeah, in bloody trainers, Darby, for God's sake, sort
I
yourself
know.
Out, lad.
Grow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
I'm well impressed they managed that.
He is in the world records now, so, that's something. Yeah. But no, I mean... sorry, mate, go on.
I was just going to say, while we're on this Strong Style 16, did we not have a question from somebody predicting the women's?
We did.
Put in your brackets? And, should we...
Can we, before we get into that, can we talk about one more match that happened that weekend?
Yes.
And
yeah, go for it,
the Rumble. The Battle Royal, sorry.
The Battle Royal,
the Losers Battle Royal, which is what we're not
I kept calling
it
it Rumble as well. I don't know why. I kept slapping myself in
we're
the face.
We're not calling it the Losers Battle Royal, but that's what it was. Who's the best loser? Simon Miller is officially the best loser in Progress.
Do you know what? Obviously, he's an absolute gentleman, and he's an absolute gentleman, and he's great. He's great. He's so entertaining to watch, and we obviously you were there when we were chatting to him at the merch table, and when you took the photo of us together, I showed my other half, and she said, "He looks like your older brother." I'm like, well, I mean, us follically challenged gentlemen do have to stick together after all. And yeah, I was convinced. I was convinced that Lycos was going to win because of how close he came in the first round against Oku, and it did feel like Lycos again. I bit a couple of times in that match. Like I really thought he had him there, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. But I mean, again, in a battle royal that features Lycos Jim, Simon Miller, Tate Mayfair's, Ethan Allen. I saw that facial expression. Not Zaziah. Ethan Allen. I've said that. Marcus Mathers, Gene Money.
With his massive pants.
Yep,
His
absolutely.
pants are inexplicable.
They are inexplicable.
The talent in the Battle Royal was phenomenal. And the moment when there's was it 7 people all trying to pull Simon Miller out? That's
7 plus a member of the crowd.
Seeing that, yeah.
And I'm sure there was 100 gorillas there as well. Everyone was hanging on. And Simon, I have to not go into great auntie who hasn't seen you in a year mode. Every time I see Simon, I say, oh, you're bigger every time I see you. You're growing like a weed. Because you do not realise how big Simon Miller is.
Big.
He is nothing but muscle. And he's hanging on to this rope for dear life. And there's 7 massive guys hanging off him. And every single one of us there was just willing him to hang on. Up on the balcony, we were screaming, oh my God, Simon, don't let go, don't let go, don't let go. If you let go, they're all dead. It was absolutely incredible, and he's just clinging on for dear life, the poor lad.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic to see him win. I can't wait to see him.
Tiny part wanted him to let go. Wanted me to see him just go. And all of them to go flying, but he held it.
I'll be interested to see what they do now with his chase for the Proceus title. Whether he has a match against Paul Walter Hauser fairly soon, because you really want.
Called his shot for that too.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Crowley coming out injured was a big shock. I did not see. I don't think any of us knew that was happening.
I did. I did. I knew Gene Money was going to be in the tournament. Remember, I predicted.
I was going to bring it back around to that, mate. Yeah, you did. Mystic down there did predict that. Lycos tried to throw us off the scent, But no, Gene Money was there with Martina.
No, it's Mothica. Martina is not there. It's Mothica.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the bits that they had with Will Cruz was, and by the way, like Will Cruz hitting a Spanish fly was one of the highlights of the weekend for me.
It's fucking
I
ridiculous.
felt that up on the balcony.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't doubt. I felt it in my living room.
Yeah, it's one of the few things I did feel through fucking Triller.
Yeah,
Will Cruz is amazing.
He's very good, and he comes out to I think it's Bring Me the Horizon, and he's also on night 2. Certainly, he was wearing the vintage Wolves colours. So from that moment, I was rooting for him against Charlie Sterling, but unfortunately, it was not to be. But because of a certain Moth Dog, getting their noses in where they shouldn't be. But then Cruz got a bit of justice, got a bit of revenge in the Battle Royale. Throwing Gene over the top where he belonged.
Yeah, there was another thing I wanted to mention in the Battle Royale. There was a moment with Simon Miller and Tate Mayfairs where they sort of looked at each other and they were facing Lykos Jim and they were like, wait, oh, like team? You? Friend? And it never happened, but there was a tease there and it's like, Simon, don't be fooled. He's a bad lad, Simon. Do not do it. Don't let me down, Simon. You're the only other person still can see through Tate Mayfairs' good boy rubbish.
No.
Hey, the annoying thing was that when we went to talk to him, he unfortunately didn't have a physical copy of his petition. I think because he knew Aaron might have been there and he might actually sign it. But yeah, he still didn't give me a straight answer about, because he says he hates death matches. I don't believe he does, because again, that suplex onto Eddie Dennis, those a couple months ago, he was smiling. He can convince other people, but he cannot convince me. He was smiling. He likes death matches.
No, I don't know. I think nothing would make me hate death matches more than having to fucking be in one.
I do not think you'll ever see him smashing light tubes.
He probably won't do light tubes, but I think the thumbtacks.
That's just a hardcore match, though. Then
I suppose it's semantics, really. But he's going to get the thirst to put someone on thumbtacks again, whoever it might be.
He's not getting fucking darts through his cheek. I can tell you that.
Well, when we get to broken glass territory, then obviously we'll come back to it. But I think he likes hardcore wrestling. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I'm not convinced, man. Not convinced at all. I do not think he does. I think he still is on a quest to ban deathmatch wrestling, and he won't give up.
Well, I didn't see the petition anywhere, so...
Christmas, what?
Yeah, I heard Tate wants to cancel Christmas. That's the next petition.
Okay, now, I love Christmas.
Yeah, I know, right?
DDP is going to be fuming.
Yeah. Well, on that note...
All right, go on. I just wanted to do...
Christmas came early for us this weekend. Honestly, if you get a chance to, every match was good in its own way. There was not really a match under 3.5 stars, 4 stars. Whatever your sort of scale is. Obviously, it's up to you. It's up to you to decide. But honestly, go back and rewatch it. It's very entertaining, even if you're not familiar with who's who. You could come away, having watched it, a fan of some of these wrestlers who, again, just work super, super hard to entertain everybody there, and who always, deliver. And again, if you can't see them at Progress, go and see them in another show that they've got coming up, because we need sort of more shows like this, and it feels like the feeling is kind of coming back now, and it is really sort of on the way.
Give me one match from the weekend that you think people should go and watch, make an effort to watch.
Picking just one's hard. But I think if you want a bit of everything, watch Luke Jacobs, Cara Noir, or Rio Nina Samuels. Oh no! Don't make me choose.
2 when you took ones I was going to go for.
Andy, you get 1.
Right, well, I'll go for fucking probably Oku Slater.
So definitely go and watch the final. Watch the men's the Super Strong Style final. And if you get a chance, also check out the promo that Simon Miller did after winning the Battle Royal as well. So I'm having 2 things as well.
Yeah.
Andy, you still get 1.
Yeah.
Joke this.
No. Give Wrestle Talk a call, Andy. They treat you right.
Yeah, there's another one I'll be giving a call before that. Anyway. Won't be allowed in.
You know, we talked about going back to Super Strong Style 16 for the women, because again, I think we were going down a route somewhere where, you know, now's the perfect time to sort of bring that back, and that is where the question that was asked by our good friend of the pod, Aaron, who said, if you could field a field of 16 for the women's Super Strong Style next year, who would it be? And I think, again, narrowing it down to 16 is going to be challenging.
Well, to save us all doing 16 each, should we do 1 each until we get to 16?
Yeah, let's go around.
Okay, yeah, that makes
Can
sense.
I go first?
But no, because you've had 2 picks in the other one. I'm going first.
Oh, all right, go on then. But dibs on Bugsy second.
And I'm going to say Kanji.
Okay, well, in that case, if she's still here,
All right, I'll tell you what. So we don't repeat. I'm going to write these down. So what we got? So we got Kanji.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Are you making notes? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got this down.
Oh, okay.
Brain like a fucking robot here. I don't remember.
No, I don't. I'm like Dory the fish. Just forget what happened like 30 seconds ago. Oh, and by the way, go and watch Luke Jacobs versus Cara Noir from the weekend.
Oh, it's the joke that he'd said that earlier and now he's forgotten. Just.
I know. That's why I shook my head.
All right, so Lucy, who's your first pick for
Rio,
the women's?
Obviously.
Rio. Okay. Well, we have to caveat this and assume that someone who's not in our 16 isn't the champion. So we'll take it with a pinch of salt. So somebody who's not on this list could very well be the women's champion. So with that in mind, I will pick Lizzie Evo, the Liverbird.
Well, probably I don't think she's gonna be. She seems to be burning bridges, but Charlie Evans.
Okay.
Quite right. It would be very, deserving. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna bring someone in from outside that isn't there right now. And I'm gonna say Alex Windsor, just because I think she's the best independent wrestler in the world.
That's a good pick, actually. That's a very good pick. So I'm gonna go for someone who's always, impressed me, and that is L.A. Taylor. Yeah, she's fantastic. Like, genuine powerhouse. Scares me.
How many picks do we have left? Because I've got.
Well, there's 10 left. We've got 6 down. We've got 6 down.
All right, fine. I'll go Emerson Jane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because I do have another one.
All right, I'll go Nina then, because we haven't said Nina Samuels yet.
We have not. So I will go for. Do I want to? I've got 2 in mind, but I'm trying to think if any of you will take them. So I'm going to go Sky Smithson.
It wasn't mine. That's fine. Is it me?
We got 9 now, so we got 5 left. No,
Nightshade.
11 left. Nightshade. That's a good pick.
Okay. In that case, I want Lana Austin.
Yeah. And with that in mind, I'm going to go for Holly Barlow.
She was my next pick. Yeah.
So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We got 4 left.
That means I could do 2. So
you can do 2, actually.
Yeah. Why is he getting?
It's only fair.
No, I mean I'm going to finish. It's going to finish on me. So I will go. Martina.
Martina.
In that case, I'm trying to choose between some of the women that were recently released by WWE.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Priscilla Kelly.
Priscilla Kelly. She has been in Progress before, I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe she's done British Indies, so she would be welcomed back with open arms.
Yeah, I think that these women all deserve the chance to show what they can do when they're allowed to really, really give it their all.
And also not being, subject to body shaming and, derogatory comments by
anybody that did that, by the
exactly. Way. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Just before we finish this, like that pissed me off royally because I don't watch WWE, so I'm not familiar with like Cora Jade.
I have been watching the women's matches as clips.
Right, yeah. So, again, I'm not familiar with Cora Jade, but
Michaels.
But the fact that she was brave enough to actually call that out is, gets the thumbs up from me.
Michaels.
So, I mean, whatever they do next.
Michaels.
You keep going out of focus. Just this blurry
Michaels.
Shawn Michaels. All right.
Is a prick.
Where
But
the fuck was CM Punk and all this? The defender of everybody. What was he doing? What was he doing? Counting fucking Saudi money. That's what he was doing. Oh, but you use Twitter. It's all your fault. Oh, what about no? I'm counting the Saudi money. I'm not defending everyone. I'm not the voice of the voiceless. Oh, but you use Twitter. You're just as bad. Use an iPhone. You're just as bad. Fuck off, Punk. Yeah, and Shawn Michaels.
Feel better now.
No,
right.
but
No.
Is it my pick again? No.
No, sorry, I haven't picked.
No.
We were going off on the fact that Cora Jade was actually being like very brave, and Priscilla Kelly was actually being very brave in calling out the shitty behaviour from the Fed.
Yeah. And CM Punk wasn't doing anything to help anybody because even though he claims he would, but yeah.
No. Because CM Punk's a
CM
cunt.
Punk because Andy might
CM Punk's a cunt. That's
Shawn Michaels.
There's really quickly. We were in the queue, and obviously Lucy and I got talking about Punk and Jack Perry, as we do. And there was the chappie in front of us said, "I'm so glad you're talking about this because that's everything that I want to say, but nobody else believes me." And it's like, well, thank you. It's just sometimes you need to hear other people say it.
Yeah, I was singing the praises of Jack Perry, as I want to do at every given opportunity.
He's excellent. He might be back tomorrow.
Hopefully, that'd be nice.
He joins MJF. MJF's the one that told him to stop being so nice.
I still think he's in the main angle, to be honest.
Oh, I mean, I think so. All right, my last pick.
Sorry, more tangent.
For the women's super strong style is, I am going to go for Sapphire Reed because she tweeted about this. So I think, Luna's come to say hello again. Here he is. Here he is.
Hey, boy.
Here he is. He's just come to say hello. He just gets nervous, but he's also evidently a big Sapphire Reed fan. So
who isn't?
Well,
yeah.
If you're picking Sapphire Reed, like, I'm a bit disappointed because of your cat. You didn't pick Danny Luna, but I'm not going to pick Danny Luna either because she's in TNA. So I don't know. I'm trying to avoid people who are in big promotions. So for me, it's probably going to be Lucy Sky, the woman who's facing Martina for a unification in TNT at the end of the month. And Lucy now has about 5 belts or 4 belts at least anyway in various promotions. So Lucy Sky.
She is. She is another dream guest for me on the podcast, by the way.
Yes.
Just shooting my shot.
I would also have thrown in Harley Hudson, but I didn't because she's apparently signed to TNA. And like I say, I'm trying to avoid the ones who are signed. Otherwise, I'd have thrown Jamie Hayter in there at the start.
Yeah, I mean,
she put a mirror in there.
I did think about throwing
managing a mirror.
I did think about throwing in like a name from like AEW or Ring of Honor. I did think about throwing like Queen Aminata just because I think she'd be quality for super strong style.
She'd be incredible.
Again, there are so many people you could have picked.
Honestly, narrowing it down is such a hard choice anyway. I mean, like,
sorry, Progress, you're gonna have to do like 6 women's super strong style 16.
You're gonna have to do a super strong style 32. That's the one.
Like
super strong style 480, whatever.
I feel like narrowing the men's 16 down is a lot easier than narrowing the women's 16. To be honest, in terms of picking the best. Yeah,
an amazing position to be in, considering that women were just never given any sort of spotlight for so long.
100%.
Now we can't pick. It's
exactly
when they're given the chance.
They weren't, and now we have the match I've probably been most excited for in a very long time coming up at Double or Nothing, which is a dream match: Jamie Hayter, Mercedes. That's going to be incredible. That's the match since the moment Mercedes was the rumors she's left. She's left. She might be available. However long that was ago now, 2 years, whatever, probably longer. That was when I said, please give me that match. I started tweeting the fuck out of Tony Khan and being, Tony, the dream match, make it happen. And then we had Jamie Hayter's injuries, so we didn't have a chance at that, and now we're going to get it, and she's going to win. She's going to beat Mercedes, give it a first loss, and then she's probably going to lose to Toni Storm. But whatever, doesn't matter.
That's okay.
The dream match is going to happen. It's going to be on Double or Nothing. Exactly, and Jamie's going to win. Jamie's going to have claims to a future TBS title shot if Mercedes still has it by the time.
She's going for the.
Well, she's losing. Yeah, I mean, she's probably losing.
Yeah, she'll lose, but then she like the same as the Will Ospreay plan. She's going to win at Wembley next year. I don't care if it's cheesy as fuck having them all win at home. I don't care. Just make it happen. Do it. Why would anyone give a fuck?
The Ospreys are going to win the Owen and then Owen challenge for it. Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
He's
not.
But he is, though. Nobody is. But he is. If only there was some sort of hint in the form of like a belt buckle, but no, nothing. It's got to be Ospreay, hasn't it?
Hangman put a selfie up, didn't he? By the way, did you see that?
About eating a flower. He ate that flower.
He was just like the most bizarre selfie behind a flower. He's great. He's so good.
He's
got an allotment. I'm going to send him my allotment plan, and he can tell me what. He can tell me how to rotate my cruciferous.
Just don't plant any English ivy.
I will not.
Anyway, before we start talking about plants and that, I was at Comic-Con at the weekend, thanks to Jay Apter from TNT.
Comic-Con is plants.
We invited us over, so we went to Comic-Con for the weekend. TNT had a presence there, and it was fantastic. Liverpool Comic-Con, it was incredible. I had a fantastic day there. My family were there. And wrestling being at Comic-Con was such a good experience. It's such a different experience because we could, like, it was spread throughout the day. It wasn't just kind of match after match after match. We'd have a match, then 45 minutes to an hour break, go and wander around, get some pictures with stormtroopers, whatever. Come back, another match, go and wander around, buy some stuff that I don't actually want. Come back, another match, buy a can of Monster for 20 quid, whatever, that kind of stuff. And
it
was great.
Except
it was a hell of a day.
20 quid because it's written in Japanese or something on the side.
Just because you're stuck in there and they can charge me everyone. But no, it was a hell of a day. And TNT put a great show. Mike Angus was on form. He was on big time form. He was great, calling out to a lot of the characters in the crowd and stuff during the match. There was, I can't remember, 6 matches. I'm not going to go through all the matches because, it was just good. We had Najee on, Max Brooker. Martina was on, actually. Lucy Sky. We had, oh my God, the tag titles defended on the show, actually, which was quite good. Temple of Malum. We had Tom Thelwell against Ian Skinner, which was a very good match. Lana Austin against Sam Bailey for the For the Love of Wrestling Championship, which was brilliant. We all love Lana Austin. She's fantastic. And we also had, where the hell is this now? I had a list of it up somewhere, but anyway, I'll come back to it. Just carry on talking. I'll tell you what it was. Oh, sorry, Hannah Taylor. That's what I was going to tell you. Hannah Taylor's comeback match after 18 months out. And yeah, it was fantastic. It's just great to see her back in the ring. And yes, the start of big thing. Well, the return to big things, I'd say, for Hannah Taylor. So that was fantastic to see. She was in a tag match with Martina, and I'd say that's probably the best way to get back into it, isn't it? Really, a tag match. If you've been out for so long. No, it was great. It really was a great show. Comic-Con was fantastic, and yeah, we love TNT. Hence, we sponsor TNT. But no, it was great.
Yeah. Sounds great, mate. And Simon, and we also, speaking of, we're keeping a very indie-heavy episode, evidently, but we want to. During Super Strong Style 16, we saw that Simon Miller is announced for Mystery Wrestling.
Yes,
I don't know if you saw that.
Mystery Wrestling. That'd
be awesome.
I heard a rumor that the main event is Simon Miller. 100 Simon Millers against the Gorilla, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I don't think they need 100 Simon Millers, to be honest with you.
I think
the Gorillas.
Yeah, possibly.
Simon
Gorilla. Change it though.
Well,
not Simon Millers.
Yeah.
Gorillas. Right. Mystery Wrestling or Evil Uno, you have booked Brandon Cutler before. You have. You have done it. I saw it. I have seen it many, many times. The bit with the tent is amazing. There is absolutely no excuse for you not to give me my dream match and book Brandon Cutler versus Simon Miller.
You see, if you're a Brandon Cutler fan, why on earth would you want Brandon Cutler to be absolutely pulverized? I don't understand this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you not seen him recently? The dragon.
But I've seen Simon
Blue
Miller.
Dragon that has just risen from the
You've just talked about how Simon Miller could hold off 7 people trying to pull him out of the ring at the same time.
None of them were Brandon Cutler.
7 and a crowd member.
Yeah, they weren't Brandon
And
Cutler.
you want to throw Brandon Cutler to the wolves? That's disgusting. That's that.
Please.
Serpentico.
He would.
Serpentico, have a word. And
Don't you
Nyla
say
Rose,
his
you
name
have
on
a
this.
word as
His
well.
name is banned on this podcast.
Nyla and Serpentico, you need to put your foot down here. This is a fucking joke.
Told you not to say his name. Right? No.
3 times into a
because yeah, if you say it 3 times, he appears. We're not saying
We're not
his
doing
name. He is banned. We are boycotting Serpentico on this podcast until he stops picking on me. No. See, I love Simon Miller. I do. I absolutely love him, but Brandon would
Not as much as Brandon Cutler.
God, no. Nobody
Simon,
is...
did you see this? Did you see this? It's a fucking disgrace.
Horrendous behaviour.
You want to rip that fucking octopus up next time, Simon? This is terrible.
No. Don't yell at my precipice. It's not his fault. It's not his fault Simon couldn't beat Brandon. No.
Well, I think we just...
There's no excuse not to do it.
We fantasy booked ourselves into a corner. I think, Lucy, what you're ending up doing right now is you're... I mean, I hope you're wrong, but I think you're gaslighting yourself into thinking that the match is going to happen when actually...
I'm aware it's not going to happen.
But where it's
fine.
yeah,
It might do.
but might not be in Mystery Wrestling though. It might even be in a different company in
One day.
like
I will
one
get
day.
it.
One day.
One day.
But
the other thing I also want, while we're putting fantasy booking out, is I want Simon Miller and Harley Cameron at some point.
oh, that'd be quality.
I'm
That'd
gonna
be
puppet off.
it's a really good shout.
Yeah, Harley Cameron can work with anyone. I'm sure she could work with Simon Miller.
So there you go.
But
Get
yeah,
that
the
booked for
banter
Mystery
they would
Wrestling,
have.
please. I bet you could get Harley. All right, I'm done. I am.
Right.
I'm done this time.
Right,
I mean,
we've got a few
enough of this
questions.
Brandon Cutler nonsense. This isn't the Brandon Cutler hour, so maybe the questions.
It will be if
not.
if Lucy takes over the pod from either you or myself, then it will just be a Brandon
An
Cutler.
hour.
Yeah, exactly. So let's
Just
move
an
on.
hour.
An hour. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, we've
been
got a few
lucky.
questions.
I'm going to
just,
cut
just-
all of that Brandon Cutler nonsense out of this.
You will do nothing of the sort, Andy. Or
well,
I
we
will.
wanna- yeah. I have no dog in this fight. I have no wolf in this fight. But we do have some questions, which I will gratuitously read out from some of our loyal followers on the Discord.
Sean Michaels.
Well, if he listens, then
He's on the Discord.
If he's listening, Bret Hart was better.
Cunt.
I'll say Bret Hart
was
is
better
and
than
will
everyone,
always
though.
be better. So fuck you, you prick. Anyway, the first set of questions we have is from one of the diehards in the podcast Discord, Slug.
We ain't ever getting a fucking cheese board anyway. I don't give a fuck.
Lucy and I don't eat cheese anyway, so it's fine.
I'm not intolerant. That would be a threat.
I like
Yeah.
cheese.
I'd give them all. I'll give them all to you, so you can have the guilt cheese. Will Moxley? This is from Slug. Will Moxley give the title to whomever wins the Owen because he's pregnant?
God.
I don't.
I have
understand
seen
it.
this going around.
Yeah, I don't know. What the fuck is this? I don't fucking know. Have I
It's a
missed
joke
something
about,
here?
remember when Becky Lynch was pregnant and she gave
Right,
the
okay.
title to ask her? It's like, would Moxley do that? It's a play on that.
I don't care. To be honest, do you know what? If that's what we need for Hangman to win the title, I'd quite happily take a Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? You made that film. I don't know if any of it's scientifically possible, but if you could get Moxley pregnant, please, in the next couple of months so that we can have a Hangman champion, I'll take that. I'll fucking take that, divvy. We can forget that the whole Pepsi experience ever happened.
Well,
so the thing is, we don't book the show. You'd have to ask Tony Khan.
Tony
Yeah.
Khan.
Tony, if you're sleeping, if you're listening to this and you're deep
this is
sleep,
not becoming
just
a bit
give
Andy.
the title to
Love you, Tony Khan. Hangman.
We're an ASMR channel now.
Hangman.
I'm gonna grow my nails up and tap them.
Hangman Adam Page.
old music.
Finished.
All in. Anyway, before we actually do fall asleep, because I'm very tired, Jamildo also says, do you think that the case has a smashed up belt in there, Moxley's final revenge? And
I don't think the belt's in there.
No,
yeah.
I think it's probably got like Utah's Lunchables and a Capri
Yeah.
or something.
It's probably got.
Marina's got socks in there.
Yeah, it's probably got like a Ginster's pasty and an orange juice or something like that.
I think it's like when you see a movie and someone's been fired and they just go to the park with an empty briefcase pretending that they've still going to work because they can't accept what's happened. I think that's what it is. I think it's an empty briefcase. I think John Moxley brings it every day. I think there's nothing in it. I don't know where the belt is.
He has to admit that
Jack Perry's making a new one in his garden.
That'd be
probably left
wicked.
it on a bus. He's traded it for magic beans. He's done something.
Yeah, he's done something.
He doesn't want to tell them.
Darby Allin would have done that.
He can never lose a match now.
Darby Allin would have traded it for magic beans. He traded his fucking title shot away, didn't he, for fuck all?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a moron. In kayfabe, obviously. Like, he's clearly not a moron.
I love
he's
Darby
climbing Everest.
in kayfabe, yeah.
He's not a moron at all.
He's a moron, though, in kayfabe.
Oh.
Do you think Tony will make a statement by signing none of the recent releases? This is also from Jamildo.
I hope they all land on the feet, but I personally do not think AEW need any of them. I think it's a shame. Again, the TNA are not a viable third option for a lot of them anymore. TNA seem to be, happy taking NXT loans, cast-offs, whatever you want to call them, or Evolve talent now, which is really weird. And they don't really seem to want to try and challenge. And it's a shame because this is where TNA would have been fantastic for some of these guys to get straight into. I don't think AEW. I don't think any of them are better than what AEW have. People are talking about women's tag titles, and you could, that's great. But there's women there who could be in the tag title, picture. And anyway, but they're just not on TV. And I would much rather see the women that have been there for a while, who are equally as good, if not better, get the chance than bringing somebody else in, putting them at the front in a tag tournament, and women still being in the back not getting a chance. The indie scene's starting to pick up. Unfortunately, a lot of them are very Fed-tied, but I would imagine they'll all find work fairly easy with the likes of GCW, Defy, and things like that.
I hope they do. I really hope they do. And I think that... you're absolutely right. I think on the current AEW and Ring of Honor women's rosters, I can think of about maybe 7 or 8 teams to throw into a tournament anyway. But also
Mark did it in about 20 seconds, just reeled them all off and I don't believe he had cage match open at all.
I think he's always got it open somewhere, but but even then. Imagine that he is the brains behind
hooked
cage
into
match.
his brain.
He's got a microchip. He's just constantly flashing
How do you think
matrix in front of his eyes.
How do you think he gets the minutes of wrestling so quickly?
Yeah, I mean it's news to me.
The second
stopwatch. No, but I'm the same as you, Dan. I think we can look through the roster, and there's already loads for a team.
There's so many,
and there's people we forget, like Sky Blue's due back, and I would take Sky Blue over any of the recently released wrestlers. I don't know.
This is it. I mean, I one of the things that I liked about old AEW was that sometimes you'd get like an appearance or two out of a wrestler who would, draw a pop, draw a rating, whatever whatever your terminology is, but they weren't like signed. So I'm okay if someone like Dakota Kai or someone who's very talented and very very good at what they do, even though I don't necessarily know much about them, but they if they just turn up for a match or two and then Tony says, well, the door's open if you want to come back for just some sporadic work, but we're kind of prioritizing the roster that we've worked hard to build and the people who have been here a long time, then I'm all for that, but part of me thinks, again, because we've seen it before with people who got released from the Fed, who went to AEW and then just sort of coasted. That's what I just don't want. It's not, obviously for them, I want them to obviously do well and get paid and earn a good living and do what they like doing. But if you're not there to do what Swerve and what Ricochet and what like Jericho have been doing, which is just sort of really help Buddy Matthews, most committed man in the company, Tony Storm.
Tony Storm's
Tony, if you're not there to actually like help the brand as well as yourself, then I don't want you to join, to be honest, because it feels like it's just going to be a waste of time.
It's if you don't want it. Like, I mean, like a lot of it feels like a lot of them don't actually want to be part of AEW. They just want something to tie them over until the Fed come calling again. And like it's almost a slap in the face to competition when you're using it that way. It's with the aim to just get back. I don't know, but anyway, regardless.
Get that vibe from the ones that have been released. I think.
I hope not.
Hope not.
I think this is the time when you most need Ring of Honor to be a strong alternative brand because there's room on the Ring of Honor roster.
Well, the thing is, I can't remember which one it is, but Dave Meltzer was talking about. There is one who was released, and then Tony was looking at it, and then
that was Dakota.
She basically went straight back, yeah. And
yeah,
like that's what people are saying. It's like if it's bizarre, isn't it? You know, the way some of them get treated over there, and then they can't wait to go back. It's really strange.
Yeah, it's for a lot of them, it's the dream they've had since they were little, and they are still living in the time where that is the only option, you know. And
it's
what do they do?
Strange. Like what
WWE calls them up, says, "Do you want to come back?" Do they say, "No, stick it up your ass. I'm not taking the money. I'm not taking the job."
Fucking Swerve did, so you know that's why we all love Swerve.
Yeah, Swerve's though, isn't he? Swerve,
and that brings us around to the whole thing where Mariah May apparently, I'm still not convinced, but apparently she's waiting to go to the Fed. I mean, because she's a big fan. So like you're always going to be up against this kind of thing because, like you say, it is the dream for a lot of these people. There's an alternative now, but there wasn't when they were growing up. And so when they were growing up, all they knew was the Fed. The Fed is the dream, and it's shite like. But anyway, like outside that, I just don't think any of them are better than what's already there. Anyway, myself personally, so I wouldn't.
The thing is,
I did see someone suggest maybe bringing in Shayna to put someone like Stat over, and a random win. And yeah, that's fine if you want to do that, and you're going to give them a one-off appearance. Great.
They did it with Ronda in Ring of Honor, didn't
they?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm all for things like that if they want to do that. But in terms of bringing someone in long term with a plan to position them above somebody who's already there, I personally would rather not.
We'd never have had Swerve. We wouldn't have Ricochet.
Well, this is it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that, but
Tony Storm.
But Tony Storm, I don't know. That's a bit different because the women's roster wasn't very strong at that point. The women's roster is great now.
Fine. When Ricochet came in, that men's roster was healthy as fuck, and he has been nothing but an asset.
Absolutely, and the thing is as well is that we're at a point now where there are viable options to go to, but we are just gonna, if it keeps going the way it's going, where people get released and then they go somewhere else and then it doesn't go so well and then they get released again, it's gonna get to a point when they're just gonna stop, or if they can't, because there's no like third brand, of the same sort of level. Which, I mean, I don't think there ever will be. At least not. Not
a question about that. Actually,
not no TNA have basically packed in. It's honestly, I know I've banged on about that today, but it's really sad. I used to be a big fan of TNA.
It is.
It's such a shame.
I think a lot of British wrestling fans were big on TNA at the time.
Yeah, exactly. I grew up, very much with TNA in my spotlight because I just, I didn't really like what the Fed was doing but it was the only thing that anybody knew at that sort of generation, because WCW had been gone for several years before, and I just wasn't really a fan of what the Fed were doing. But I caught wind of TNA on the Wrestling Channel, and then and Ring of Honor was on there as well, like old school Ring of Honor. So, but we're at a time when that's not as accessible. But what you do have is you have a lot of like indie promotions with a bit of character, a bit of presence elsewhere, but a lot, what the Fed is doing is just they're trying to monopolize. They can try and paint it like they're not, and they're trying to support the indies, but we know what they're like. We've seen
all
it.
All they're asked about is ice and AEW. That's all they care about right now.
That's the only reason the AAA purchase has happened is because AEW and CMLL were going to do the Grand Slam Mexico.
I feel like with that, Tony Khan won a bet. Someone is daring him to see what he can get them to do. Tony Khan, I saw someone say Tony Khan should announce that he farted, see if Triple H shits his pants.
Yeah, probably.
Probably would, to be honest. I seen Rob Viper's tweet there, and he was talking about, I think Lucha Blog said the same thing, that basically they didn't intend to buy Triple A. They just panicked, and they were like, shit, Konan, how much? Okay. And it was like, what do we do with it now? And then now, like you say, they've got fucking Alberto Del Rio on the fucking roster, which is fucking hilarious.
It's like when you play Monopoly, somebody's got the purples. Yeah. On Monopoly, if somebody gets the purples, it's like, oh shit, I'll buy the crappy yellows that nobody ever wants.
Exactly, yeah.
It's also quite telling when the fact that the people who... I don't know how the contract situation works. Again, I'm not an expert in this sort of thing, but if they are assuming like some of those contracts that were named with Del Rio and a few others, some of them like really, have a bit of a sketchy history with Stephanie Vacker, who's become a bit of a big deal over there. So it's like
my Monopoly shot wasn't at AAA; it was directly at fucking Del Rio.
He's a fucking cunt.
He's a maniac. He's an absolute maniac.
It's insane. And I'd seen somebody saying on Twitter there, oh, but you should see his work. He's still good because they rate his. I seen his work the other day. It was fucking shocking.
It's awful.
Table spot. It was fucking awful.
No,
he's dog shit.
It's genuinely bad.
And this comes at a time when Zaziah is rumored to be going back for this, for this women's pay per view they're going to do. What? You fucking really open it?
Are you going to put her
there?
Yeah, well, it's like she's
suffered enough with men, honestly.
Of course she has. I know I feel I'm not the biggest fan of her, but she, in her ring work, but I feel so bad for the hand that she's been dealt in her life, because she clearly has just a very she's been so unlucky with some of the people who she's been involved with, and it's not her fault. I don't blame her at all.
It was a choice on her behalf, but not everything has been.
No, I just feel really bad for her. That's all. But if she's going to be thrust into a situation where she's not going to be safe, then that's fucked up. Then that's negligence. That's knowingly putting someone in danger.
I find it hard to criticise when everyone else does, just because of the fact that it's clearly not as plain as people want to believe when they like to do the pile-ons that they all do. There's clearly a lot more to it, and what happened at the Fed with her, it's really. It's scary parallels to the Vince McMahon stuff, to be honest. So, yeah.
It's horrid. Yeah. Right. Well,
what are the questions? Have we got any others?
The thing is that we've kind of answered a lot of them. So Dunner asked, who do you think MJF targets as his person to hurt? Well, we've already said Cedric Alexander. So that's that. I'm still saying MVP, but I'd take Cedric in a heartbeat. But
I didn't want to say Cedric Alexander, but now we spoke about that earlier. I actually do, because I think that makes so much fucking sense.
Yeah, it does. It does. And if you think about it, if MJF's going to form the Pinnacle with heel Garcia and FTR, then the Hurt Syndicate are going to have. They're going to need an extra person, aren't they? Because they're going to be outnumbered. They got Lashley, MVP, Benjamin, and Cedric. That's 4 on 4.
If it doesn't happen, by the way, Daniel Garcia. I don't think it'll happen, because I don't think they'll sign him. But Richard Holiday, is fucking incredible.
He's brilliant.
Did you see his fucking on the street, feet on the street thing with Matt Cardona?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was excellent. The guy is brilliant.
When he's at the hen party and she tears up.
he can go in ring, and he's so good on the mic. The man's got charisma for fucking days. Honestly, I would love them to bring him in.
He'd be quality. He would be quality. There was,
anyway,
there was. I do remember there were rumours.
Richard Holiday, we are big fans, mate.
Very.
I do remember.
I've been a big fan of seeing him for a long time, but seeing him in February at the Progress show, he was brilliant there as well, and he was in heel fucking all night. He was in heel mode as well. He did not break. He would fit perfectly with MJF.
He would.
Well, they were tag partners, weren't they?
He did. So,
yeah, Dynasty.
Yeah.
I think if anyone, MJF's going to beat up anyone who we haven't mentioned, I'm going to say answers Max Caster's open challenge, beats him up, head into the back, MVP comes out, is like, no, do it right. Pick somebody good. Idea. He doesn't count.
No, it's not to do with that. Oh, my God. This is perfect. When Jericho comes back, he can answer Max Caster's open challenge and come back with Judas.
Yeah. Well, because that's what they're doing with Metalingus, when they're having the crowd sing the song.
Yes.
Supposedly it is because they're going to bring Judas back, because that's the one that everyone was singing. And I reckon if they do that, all the Jericho hate will go away.
He's just the answer to everything, isn't he? You want to bring someone back or debut someone, how do we do it? The Max Caster Open Challenge. Do you know what I said earlier? I want it to end and I want to win. No. This is can go forever. Who's going to debut? Say they do sign one of the released women. They can debut against Max Caster. Anyone can.
Oh, everyone gets to beat up Max Caster.
Yes, this is great, man.
So sweet. Oh, what a bonding exercise. That would be lovely.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's wrap this up, because we could talk for hours.
Beat up Max Caster.
Jack Perry can beat up whoever Jack Perry wants to beat up. He's a sweet little angel.
And he probably wants to beat up Max Caster.
Well, everyone wants to beat up Max Caster.
Jack Perry, before we go, Konan actually did give me a cease and desist letter. I've just threw it in the bin somewhere. And Max Caster is going to lose to somebody tomorrow, probably Rhino's going to spear him out of his boots. And I do think the belt is being... Jack Perry's in his garden now, pouring all the metals and all that, and fucking hammering. He's got his fucking goggles on and all that, and he's hammering away like he's a fucking blacksmith. and that's when the new belt's going to come back. With
No,
David
I'll say though, everyone was
down with
into the whole belt building thing. No, I'm going to gatekeep him. If you couldn't handle Jack Perry at his Crimea River, you don't deserve him at his sexy blacksmith. No.
That
also,
TNT belt was the best. Was what
it
the
was.
best
It was
ever had.
I miss that sexy bitch belt. Oh my God.
When he lost, that was the biggest loss for me. Not that he lost the title, but that we didn't get that belt anymore. It was great.
It was beautiful.
It was fantastic, wasn't it? It was genuinely. The thing is, Jack Perry defended it more than Garcia did, which is
I know.
ironic.
It's mad, isn't it?
Not blaming anybody. Anyway, just to make sure we haven't forgotten anybody, Dav did ask about what's your thoughts on AEW introducing women's tag titles, which we kind of answered. So,
I'd like them to do it, but I don't think it'll resolve the problem. I think there's not enough women there, but I just don't. At the end of the day, if there's not enough time to develop storylines below the world title and below the TBS, then you ain't going to remedy that. They're not going to sort of magically create time for the women's tag titles, unfortunately. I think it's a bigger issue than that, which hopefully is slowly being fixed by because they have been giving the women a lot more time on Collision bit by bit. Hopefully these old cunts at the top of WBD who are fucking Stone Age morons are probably looking at this and going, oh, maybe women actually do draw. Maybe we should let them drive. Maybe that's the way they're going now. So, I don't know.
I think tag titles would create more time. If the belts are there, I think that AEW does tend to, rightly or wrongly, base women's stories around a title belt. And I think putting tag titles in, it would get them that more time.
I hope so.
I'm not convinced. I think it'd just take time from the TBS stuff and the world title.
Well, I hope so.
Every week at this point, aren't we?
Because
not see Tony Storm every week.
The thing is as well is that I think that they've never really done many stories where there's not been a title involved. So I think if we're already going to get women's tag titles the same level of frequency that was happening, then I'm not really convinced by the idea. But I hope that if they do introduce them, that obviously they have a plan, they have a long-term plan to actually make it happen and build proper tag teams and actually build really good stories. Well, yeah,
I'd love them to, but I don't think they.
I don't want to speculate, but
you'd get a tag team.
I think they've hinted enough that they do have something planned.
I hope so.
I mean, long-term stuff, I don't think they do. I think you'd get what you kind of get with world title reigns a lot of the time with AEW Women's Division, where you'd have a tag team that they maybe put together and pin everything on. Yeah, they're the tag champs. And then you just rotate in. Oh, who's available? Lady Frost and Queen Aminata are teaming up against the tag champs, and you just get random things like that thrown in there. Lady Frost, by the way, was fantastic at the weekend. It's great to see people. It's great to see people get actually realizing how good she is, because she has been flying the flag for AEW over in CMLL with Taya there, and she's been phenomenal. So it's great to see her getting some prime TV time, but also people actually going, holy shit, she's actually really fucking good.
Yeah, she had a great match with Tony, and the promo that she cut in the back was very good. It's the first time I actually thought, oh, do you know? I mean, I knew she was good in the ring, but this is I'm hearing her talk now, and now I'm getting somewhere.
Look at some of the CMLL stuff she's been doing.
I've seen it.
Absolutely killing it. Really good.
Yeah. But the last question then, which I think is a nice little round off because we've sort of touched on it, was from Retrograve Steve K, from Retrograve Productions. He's a fantastic top fella. Do you think that a third or fourth viable option / promotion in wrestling can take place in the UK or Europe? He follows that up with logistically getting a TV broadcast stream deal on something like Sky Sports, renting arenas for weekly shows, travelling around the UK, other areas of Europe, have international stars, camera crew, wardrobe technicians. Can it happen? So, yes. I think feasibly it could, but you need a mega rich company to fund it. Yeah, you need someone the level. Yeah,
I just don't think it. I don't think it's possible. I think you'd get to unless it's somebody unless we can get another Tony Khan who's just a wrestling geek with billions of dollars. I don't think it's going to happen. Or billions of pounds.
Yeah, you need a multi-billionaire.
Because we've seen the supposed leaked accounts from Progress there, which don't look too good. Rev Pro are managing, they seem to be managing fairly well with the shows they're putting on, but they're not overstretching themselves. I don't think we'll get anyone Progress only do one show a month. Rev Pro are knocking out, what 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, they really kind of up in it. So I just don't think there's going to be anyone who can compete with the WWE and AEW side of things in the UK, especially with AEW have a very big presence in the UK as well. You know, being on ITV. So it's too much of a big ask. It's a shame. I'd love it if you could somehow merge Progress and Rev Pro. I think
that's not going to happen.
You would. No, it's not obviously, but you would have a chance. But like that's the problem. Again, you hinted at earlier. There's tribalism in the UK wrestling scene as it is. It's a shame because I would love that to happen, but I just don't see it at all. I don't think that it's going to happen.
Plus, also the UK is, you know, very small comparison to the US. In the US, I think obviously if you need the same infrastructure, you need the same funding, you need the same sort of model in place but you need funding, you need backers, investors, all this kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm getting into corporate lingo here, but in the UK, if you did a weekly show in a different city or town like every week, then you'd burn out within half a year.
You wouldn't sell the tickets either.
No,
not on that kind of cadence. There's a reason Progress only do one show a month, and there's a reason Rev Pro do small shows in small venues mixed in between the occasional big one. It just wouldn't. I mean, saying that, Rev Pro just announced a show in France, so who knows? Maybe Andy Quillen's got a few things on the horizon, but I think they're just more of a happy being a partner for doing their own thing and being partners with a few other organisations, aren't they?
That's the way to do it, is partnerships. You know, the right partnerships, the right alliances with the right people. So
partnerships,
the right ones. So when we say right, we mean
not with the Fed.
Not with Shawn Michaels. No, we're doing so. What AEW is doing with CMLL, obviously with Ring of Honor, with CMLL, with Stardom, with Rev Pro, and
I love the work that Rev Pro do with New Japan's Royal Quest is always a highlight.
It's always and New Japan, of course. I don't forget New Japan.
And like let's face it, like you wouldn't want Rev Pro and Progress to just be one giant competitor because they offer completely different things. The vibe at Progress is completely different than Rev Pro. They have two completely separate identities, and like I like it how it is. To be honest, it gives us more options. We have a lot of shows we can go to, and we can get different experiences from each one.
Absolutely,
spoiled rotten here. We have the best wrestling in the world.
I'm happy.
We are very lucky.
The Americans can't touch it.
I'm happy having AEW and the Fed for some people over here as the options for that big company. It's just a shame that I really would love TNA to be the one, but they're just not.
I think they had a chance to do it when they had it was in the mid 2000s. Like they had the opportunity to really sort of carve a name for themselves because they had a primetime TV spot on. I think it was Spike TV, which was in a lot of households at the time. This was obviously before streaming, and they had They had a good amount of viewership, but they were never going to touch WWE in terms of they were never going to touch WWE in that sense. But
but it's like everything in the world. It was ruined by old white men.
Absolutely.
I knew that was coming, and the thing is,
was.
And the thing is, it's not just old white men. It's Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. They ruin everything in the fucking world. Everything.
They do.
Well, so we can end how we started.
Fuck Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan is a cunt.
Not in the good way. Not in the good way.
And so is Eric Bischoff, to be honest.
Absolutely, but he's a fan of the podcast.
They're working together now. With what the fuck's this third guy?
There is a new promotion that's challenging.
Oh shit! What Andy,
We're ending it now. We're ending it now. Cut
before we get an actual cease and desist. We'll do it next time.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Groupchat Wrestling Podcast. It's been an absolute hoot. These 2 hours have flown by. But until then, stay safe, have a great week, and tune in next week when we've got a very special episode for you. Until then, peace out.
Yeah, and fuck Hulk Hogan and fuck Konan as cease and desist letters.